Welcome to Rose Red Homestead. We are here in Washington State with my daughter Katie. This is our first video on the road. Hopefully we'll have some more on the road. And we're here visiting their family and their lovely new home. This is a fabulous kitchen. I'm already so jealous. There's lots of room. And we also have a couple of other helpers. So come on in. This is Aaron. He's almost 14, and this is Wyatt. He's almost 12. I mean, he is 14, almost 15. So we're going to have my grandsons. Would you check this out? Last time we were together, he was about right here, and he's grown just a whole head higher since I've been up here. So we're having a great time together, and we are going to do raspberry jam. And there's one person in the family who does not like seeds in raspberry jam, so we're going to do two batches. We're going to do one that has the seeds and one without. So we'll get started on that when we come right back. We timed our trip hoping that it would be raspberry season in Washington. I looked it up on the internet and it's supposed to be, but we couldn't find any fresh raspberries. And actually, that's not a bad thing because we're going to use frozen raspberries instead, and there are probably lots of people who don't have access to fresh raspberries. And actually, frozen raspberries are in some ways quite a bit better. Not only is it a lot more convenient, but the raspberries that they generally use to freeze are a little bit more on the ripe side, and those make much better jam. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I wanted you to notice this orange hair right here. You know, I wanted redheaded grandchildren. I'm not quite sure that that's genetic though, but it looks very lovely. All right, who wants to go get the raspberries from the freezer? Okay, thank you. And you're going to stir on the stove, right? In just a minute? Okay, that's good. All right, we'll need 2 packages. Okay, and here they go. All right, now our recipe calls for 4 cups. So you want to tear this one, and you can just tear that one right across. And we're going to measure out 4 cups of raspberries. Okay, right up to the line. A little bit more. Okay, and the good thing about this is it doesn't have to be completely super exact. So we're going to pour those in, and then let's have 2 cups from this one. And we're going to actually start with the frozen raspberries over the stove. Okay, great. Want to dump those in? And we'll hold these for the next batch. Also notice that we have the Instant Pot right here. We're going to do a little bit of water bath canning. It only takes 5 minutes though. Once we get the hot jam in the hot sterilized jars, we're going to just put them in the Instant Pot, and just for long enough. The recipe calls for 5 minutes, and we don't need to do any altitude adjusting because where we are is just about at sea level. I double checked that on the internet to know for sure. So we don't have to add any time for this water bath processing. And we can use an Instant Pot for water bath canning, never for pressure canning, but this is water bath canning. Okay, so one of the things that we need to remember about making jam is that things have to happen really fast. I used to make this jam when your mom was a little girl.
Oh my goodness, it was my favorite jam ever, you guys. It was so good.
So we're going to do it again. So the frozen raspberries are in this pot, and we're not adding any water, nothing. And so Aaron, can you just put this over on the stove, please? And here's your spoon. And if you will, just turn it up very, very low. Low, low, low. And Jim will come over in just a minute with the camera. And then, Wyatt, if you could please open up that sugar over there. And we're going to need 4 cups, and the measuring cup is over there. So get a 1 cup measuring cup, and then please measure 4 cups of sugar into that that great big measure. Yeah. Okay. Now also, right here, I'm going to go ahead and turn the Instant Pot on. Now, we have the trivet in the bottom because when we do water bath canning or any canning, we never want the jar to come in contact with the bottom of the pan. So I should probably plug this in.
4 cups, correct?
Yes, 4 cups, and you can double check yourself because there's also a 4-cup measurement on that. So you can do it and then double check yourself. I'm just going to put a lot of time on this. We're only need it for 5 minutes, but because we're not pressure canning, it's not going to be quite the same. Okay. How's this coming? Good. Okay. So, Erin, you are smashing the berries. Are they doing okay?
Yeah.
It's on very low heat.
Is that good enough?
Yep, smashing, this one is just, though it's perfect. So work them right there into the center and just make sure as soon as you can possibly do it that you just smash them flat.
All right.
Okay? Keep working and don't let any of the ones around here burn while you're doing that. So kind of keep stirring and mashing at the same time. That's great. Okay, so that's just about perfect. All of the berries are smashed and we can now turn the heat up just a little bit. We want that mixture to come to a boil.
Ooh, it's getting hot.
Yeah, don't burn yourself.
All right.
So you let us know if somebody needs to come in and give you a little relief there.
All right.
Okay, and meanwhile, we're going to get the sugar all ready to dump in all at the same time. Okay, so this is ready now and it has started to boil. This is raspberries only. Now we're going to add a little bit of lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. This is 2 tablespoons. Just dump it right in, Erin. Thank you. So the lemon juice has lots of natural pectin in it, and we're not adding any extra pectin. So what little there is in the raspberries added to what's in the lemons will make this just the right consistency to gel. Okay, we're ready for the sugar. And you see the smiley face that he put in the sugar.
Want to explain what that is?
It's a smiley face.
It's what?
It's a smiley face.
It's a smiley face on the sugar. That's fantastic.
Happy sugar.
Happy sugar. That's even better.
All right, dump it all at the same time. One big dump. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we're going to stir this and stir it. Bring it back to a boil. Now the sugar is all melting, all dissolving.
Sticky.
It is, it's very sticky. And we're going to bring this to a boil again. Make sure there's no lumps. Now a little bit of foam might form on this. Foam has never bothered me. A lot of people don't like it. You can put a little pat of butter in and that will reduce the foam. But I always just bottle it, foam and everything.
Liquidy now.
Very much liquidy.
I want to drink it.
Be too hot to drink.
You can cool it down to a solid and you can like melt it a little and then you can drink it.
You could. It would be way sugary.
I'll be up all night.
All right, we're going to let this boil. And then we're going to watch how the bubbles change, and I'll give you some clues about the timing on checking for gel, and I'll show you the gel test that we do. So it's boiling now, and you cannot stir this boil down. And notice how lively those bubbles are, and they're quite clear. So this is the first stage. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes once it gets to this stage. We want to keep it boiling. The texture of the boil is going to change. Pretty soon it's going to look more like lava, thicker and erupting. Okay, now we're going to do our first test here in just a minute, so we're going to need to get a plate from the freezer. Not yet, but get ready to bring a plate over real quickly from the freezer. We've put some little saucers. They're ceramic, and so you should do it on glass or ceramic. These are still lively, so we're not quite there yet. All right, we're going to do the first test. I think it's a little early, but we'll do the first test to just double check. So we need a plate from the freezer, please. Just one. Just one. Okay. So I'm going to put just a little tiny bit right on this plate. And then we're going to put that back in the freezer for about 1 minute. Okay, the texture of the bubbles has changed. It also has deflated just a little bit. Okay, let's get that out of the freezer and I'll show you how we test it.
Oh, what out of the freezer?
The plate that has the sample on it.
Oh,
That's okay. Okay, we'll let Wyatt do this test and then we'll let Aaron do the next one. Now what we want you to do is to just drag your finger right through that. Make a pathway through and we'll see if the pathway stays all the way to the plate. Okay, now see how the pathway is not staying, it's coming back together? That means it's not done yet. So you can rinse that one and set it off to the side. And we'll get ready to do another one. It's getting close, I think. Part of the art of making jam is to recognize the boil being to the point where the natural pectin, in this case, has kicked in and it is starting to gel up a little bit right in the pan. But we won't know for sure until we cool it down quickly and then run our finger through that little dollop to see if it is holding its shape. Okay, let's try again. Get a plate. Okay, just for a few seconds. Back in the freezer. Okay, let's try it. Over here, bring it over.
Don't let it move.
Okay, run your finger through there and make a trail. Ooh, it is almost done. Almost. Okay. Okay, the bubbling has changed again, and it is also lowered. Oh, and farther down in the pan. It's not so full of air as it was before. All right, I think we're done.
All the way up. All the way up. Yep.
The jars were washed in the dishwasher last night. And so to sanitize them and to get them really hot, we've had them in a 200-degree oven for about a half an hour. So these jars are very hot. I have these little silicone things I've never used before. So I'm trying to get used to these at the same time. So the jars are hot. I'm going to bring the pan over and pour the jelly. And the boys are going to come along right behind me. And Katie, if you'll please wipe off after I pour. Ah!
They're hot.
That was dumb.
You want this one?
Oh, that's fine. I'll start from here and move this way.
Okay.
And then Katie will come around and just wipe off the rim. And then if you will come right behind and put one of these right on the top. So you just get one. And then Erin, you'll follow right behind and put this on, okay? And remember, don't touch the jars because they're hot. All right, here I come. Okay, you guys line up behind your mom. Lid. Don't touch the jar. Go get another one. Erin, lid. All right, it looks like this is going to make about 4 half pints. Okay. The water in the Instant Pot is boiling. So we're going to put these just right inside and the water will come up over the top.
Do I do one?
Sure. Squeeze it tight and then put it in carefully.
Wait, can I do one?
Sure.
I'm scared.
Excellent work.
Strong work, strong work. And then the last one.
Is the water up over there?
Just to the top.
All right, we need to have it actually up over the top, so I'm going to add just a little bit. And then once it comes back to a boil, then we'll start timing for 5 minutes, and then those will be done. Meanwhile, those jars need to go back in the oven. Probably want to get those little spots off for our second batch. Okay, so that's up over the top.
Open the oven for me. Open the oven.
Thank you, honey, that's perfect. Okay, now we're all set and ready for the jars to come out in 5 minutes. All right, we've had them in the Instant Pot for 5 minutes. That's all it takes. And when the jars are hot and sterilized and the jam is so hot, all we're doing here is just making sure that the lids are going to be vacuumed. So I'm going to show you one, and then would you like to take one out? Okay. So you just grab it carefully here and squeeze it together
Still looks the same.
and put it right here. Do you want to do one?
Okay.
Okay. Very carefully. Did you hear that pop? That lid just popped. Go ahead, put it over there, and that's exactly what we want. See how the bump there is puffed up,
Yeah.
and this one is now down?
Yeah.
Okay, when it pops down, you'll hear a little pop, and that's exactly what we want. So we're going to get the others out too? And be very careful with the steam because you know steam burns. This one is already popped. Okay. Great. Lots of help. So now we have 4 half pints of raspberry jam. It looks delicious. When it cools down, maybe you'd like to have a taste. We're now going to just go ahead and start the next batch, which will be without seeds. So we're going to do a lot of that off camera, and we'll come back when we're ready to take the seeds out, and I'll show you how to do that. Well, I have jam all over me. Katie got a piece off my face a minute ago, so that's what good jam making is all about. So now we're going to show you how to do the seedless part. We have all the seeded ones cooling right here. They just look beautiful. And over on the stove, we have taken 2 packages, 12-ounce packages of frozen raspberries, plus the little bit that was left over from the first batch. And we have put them in frozen in the pot, and then we mashed them and brought them to, we heated them a little bit. It's not to a boil. Now I'm going to come over here and pour some right into this strainer. This strainer is a very small mesh, and the seeds can't go through it unless you really force them. So I'll give that to you, and I'm coming over with it. It's not super hot, but it's a little bit hot. And that's probably all we want to start with.
And all I'm doing is just kind of scooting around the sides, kind of smushing it down.
So this is not the same as jelly. If this were jelly, we would just let pure juice drip. This has a lot of the raspberry pulp in it as well, which is exactly what we want because we're making jam and not jelly. Do you see how the seeds are staying in the strainer? Mm-hmm. And the pulp is going down below. So there's a little bit more waste with this. The seeds and some of the pulp will stick to the seeds. So I'm not sure how much we'll have when we finish. We'll have to measure it, and then we'll use the amount of sugar accordingly to what we have left over when we have finished this part. The last of it, you think?
I think so.
Good job. Okay, we're going to measure. Now, the reason that we heated up the raspberries just a little bit was that once they're heated, it softens the pulp a bit, and it's easier for it to go through the strainer. So we're going to just see how much juice and pulp we have, because that will help us determine how much sugar. Thank you. So we have about 2 cups. So we really lose quite a bit when we take the seeds out because some of the pulp goes with it as well. If you have some kind of a food mill, that might be something that you could think about also to remove the seeds, and it might work well. So what we're going to do now is just dump that 2 cups of pulp and juice right in here, and it's completely seedless. So we're going to want about 1 3/4 cups of sugar. So this recipe is a little bit different. The jam with the seeds in it, this was 1 to 1. We used 4 cups of raspberries, and then we used 4 cups of sugar. This we're going to use about just a little bit more of 3/4 of the amount of the juice and pulp in the sugar. And then also we'll use the lemon juice once again. And then we're just going to do the very same process. We're going to put it on the stove and let it boil, and it will cook it until the natural pectins kick in, and we'll do the same test. Not yet, sweetheart, we have to get this boiling, and then we'll have the sugar, okay? All right, so I'm going to put this over on the stove, and we'll get this to boiling, then we'll add the sugar and the lemon juice. All right, this is set up beautifully, so we're going to put it right in the jars. I think we're only going to have about 2 jars. If even that, my goodness. Do you have a rubber scraper or something we can get, or that wooden spoon that I used? That's pretty good. Okay. Hold on, buddy.
here.
Okay, good.
All right, so now we lift it in.
And put it back in.
And in a pot it goes. You might need more water.
Yeah, we're gonna need the water.
Squeeze tight. There you go. Perfect. That's okay, honey. Good.
Okay. We will be back after these have been in the canner for 5 minutes. All right, I think we're ready for
I
those to
think
come
we're
out.
ready.
Go ahead and tip that water off. There you go.
You want to do this one, bud? Yeah. Oh, so you're an expert.
Yes, don't tip it all the way.
That's good.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll put it out here so the camera can see it a little bit. And so there we are. We have done 2 different types of raspberry jam today with some excellent help with orange hair. And just to review the recipe for the seeded jam, it was 4 cups of berries and 4 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and that's it. The natural pectin, there's a little bit of natural pectin in the raspberries, but adding fresh lemon juice, there's a lot of pectin in fresh lemon juice, and so that 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice really helped it gel. And for this one, we just measured the pulp and juice afterward. It was 2 cups, and we put about, what was it, 1
1
3/4 cups of sugar. And then we also used 2 tablespoons of pectin, because the pectin is contained in the seeds, and we had removed the seeds from this one and not from this one, so we went ahead and used the 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in this one as well. So this has been so much fun.
It has been.
Thank you for letting us use your kitchen. And we'll do more videos and hopefully more on the road. And while we're here in Washington, I'm also going to pick up some Walla Walla onions, and we'll be doing a dehydrating Walla Walla onions video here soon after we get home. So thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.